The humming of the Eclipse Voyager filled the air like a distant heartbeat, steady, reassuring, and slightly off-tempo. Lieutenant Jonah Hale had just finished recalibrating the oxygen filters when the ship's AI, a polite but perpetually anxious voice named Vera, announced in its usual trembling tone. "Alert! Unscheduled entry detected in ventilation grid 7. Jonah frowned, wiping grease from his hands. "Unscheduled entry. Vera, is it another cleaning drone gone rogue?" "Negative," the AI replied. "Thermal signature suggests organic life. Large. Approximately 2 meters tall." Jonah blinked. 2 meters. That's not small. Great, maybe we've got another stowaway. But the Eclipse Voyager wasn't supposed to have stowaways. It was currently carrying only a skeleton crew, and one very important guest, Empress Kaelira of the Vanyari Dominion. She was regal, commanding, and entirely humorless. Even her silver hair seemed to shimmer with authority. Jonah had only seen her twice since she boarded, but both times he'd been convinced that if she ever smiled, galaxies might collide in shock. He tapped his communicator. "Captain, you might want to hear this. There's something big in the vents." No response. The ship was on quiet mode while the captain slept through hyperspace. That left Jonah in charge of whatever this was. He sighed and grabbed his toolkit. "All right, let's play exterminator." The air vents on the Eclipse Voyager were narrow, metallic tunnels with just enough space for a human to crawl through. Jonah climbed up to grid 7, flicked on his flashlight, and peered inside. Something glittered in the darkness. At first, he thought it was a reflection until it moved. "Hello," he called cautiously. "If you're some kind of cosmic rat, I come in peace." There was a startled gasp, followed by a voice he recognized immediately. Elegant, indignant, and very, very out of place. "Do not move. I am temporarily restrained." Jonah's jaw dropped. "Empress Kaelira." A sharp metallic clang echoed through the vent, followed by an unmistakable growl. "Lieutenant Hale, I command you to cease that tone. I require assistance." Jonah leaned closer, his flashlight illuminating a sight he'd never forget. There, wedged halfway through a corner of the vent, was the most powerful ruler in 3 sectors. Her majestic silver gown tangled in tubing, her crown tilted, her usually flawless expression caught between fury and embarrassment. He clapped a hand over his mouth to suppress the laugh threatening to burst free. How did you even get in there?" Kaelira hissed. "I sought privacy. The corridors are monitored, and your crew is insufferably loud. I required solitude to reflect." "In an air vent." Her eyes narrowed dangerously. "Do not question Imperial methods, Lieutenant." He lost the battle with his laughter. A sharp snort escaped before he could stop it, echoing embarrassingly through the metal tunnel. Kaelira's glare could have frozen a sun. "Is something amusing?" Jonah coughed. "No, Your Majesty. Not at all. Totally serious situation. Galactic crisis level." Getting her unstuck turned out to be easier said than done. He crawled inside the vent, careful not to bump his head, and assessed the situation. Her gown was caught on a pressure latch, and one of her heels had wedged deep between 2 cooling pipes. The more she tried to move, the worse it got. "Stop squirming," Jonah said gently. "You're making it worse." "I am not squirming. I am attempting dignified movement." "Right. Dignified movement that makes the ship creak like it's about to fall apart." She glared again, but something about the absurdity of the moment softened her expression. "I suppose this is not ideal." Jonah grinned. Understatement of the century. He started carefully loosening the fabric. It shimmered under his fingers, woven with nano-threads that glowed faintly blue. Kaelira watched him with sharp, curious eyes. "You seem unperturbed by the presence of royalty," she said finally. "I grew up fixing colony airlocks. After you've fished your captain out of a jammed food dispenser, nothing phases you." Her lips twitched just barely. "Perhaps I misjudged human composure. Perhaps humans are just too used to weird stuff," he replied. He tugged one last fold of fabric free. "Okay, try moving now." She shifted, elegant even while crouched in a metal tube. Then clang! Her crown smacked the vent ceiling. Jonah froze. Kaelira's expression was blank, dangerously blank. "I swear," Jonah said quickly, "if you let me live after this, I'll personally polish your crown for a week." Her lips pressed together, then trembled, then, finally, she laughed. It was soft at first, almost a whisper, but it grew, a sound that shimmered like starlight, rich and genuine. Jonah stared, stunned. He hadn't realized how beautiful her laughter could be. Eventually, he guided her backward through the vent, steadying her whenever she slipped. When they emerged into the corridor, both were covered in dust and static sparks. The guards at the end of the hall froze, their expressions a mix of horror and confusion. Jonah stood quickly, brushing off his uniform. "Everything's under control, gentlemen." The Empress was inspecting the ventilation system. Kaelira straightened to her full height, regal even with a streak of grime across her cheek. "Indeed," she said coolly. "Lieutenant Hale demonstrated commendable efficiency. You may commend him in the records." The guards saluted. Jonah bit his tongue to keep from laughing again. When they were alone, Kaelira turned to him. "You will not speak of this incident." "Of course not," Jonah said solemnly. "Wouldn't dream of it." She studied him, eyes narrowing in thought. "You found this entertaining." He shrugged. "A little. But mostly I'm glad you're safe." Her voice softened. "Your humor is disarming, Lieutenant. Most would have mocked or panicked." "Guess I'm not most." She tilted her head, considering him. "Perhaps not." For a moment, the air between them shifted, less like the distance between ruler and subject, more like two people sharing an unlikely secret. Then, with a faint smile, she said, "If I were to request your presence again for further inspections, would you oblige?" Jonah grinned. "As long as it doesn't involve crawling through vents, Your Majesty, I'm all in." Her eyes glimmered with amusement. "We shall see." Later, as Jonah returned to engineering, Vera's voice chimed softly. "Lieutenant Hale, the Empress's personal channel requests transmission." He raised an eyebrow. "Already?" "Affirmative." He opened the comm line. Kaelira's face appeared on the small holoscreen, cleaned up, crowned, and utterly regal once more. Yet when she looked at him, her lips curved in the faintest secret smile. "Lieutenant," she said smoothly, "I trust you will continue to keep today's inspection confidential." Jonah saluted. "Absolutely, Your Majesty. My lips are sealed tighter than your air vents." Her laugh, now entirely unguarded, echoed through the comms, warm and unexpected. When the line went dead, Jonah leaned back in his chair, still grinning. Of all the strange things he'd seen in the galaxy, this one topped the list. An empress stuck in a vent, and a human who somehow made her laugh. Somewhere in the endless dark between stars, a friendship, perhaps something more, had quietly begun.